Hello, greetings. Welcome to Enlightning. I'm here today with Thomas Vitale. Thomas is going to teach us about Kustomize. Thomas, tell us about yourself.
Hi everyone. I'm so excited to be here with me. I've been following the show since the very beginning, so it's a
Yeah,
special kind of feeling, to be a guest now. I'm a software engineer. I work a lot in the cloud native space. I work as a software architect at a company in Denmark called Systematic. I work a lot with Java with cloud native platforms and tooling and developer experience, including Customize, of course. A big supporter of open source technologies. I try to contribute as much as I can, and I love music. Yeah, that is
I
me.
love it. What's a project you've contributed to recently?
I'm recently contributing to a Carvel. So
Oh,
Carvel is
nice.
an amazing, toolkit with different types of tools to work with on top of Kubernetes. I'm currently working on a new feature on K control, the CLI for cap controller. Yeah,
Amazing. Cool. We're
yeah,
gonna do a cap controller episode later this month with Scott Rosenberg as the guest. So I'm looking forward to that.
amazing. Yeah,
Lee, this is the say hello to Lisa segment of the show. Lisa's always here. Happy Friday. Welcome, Thomas. And
thank you, Lisa.
and we have a joke. I won't put it up on the screen just yet. Joke of the day from Lisa. Why did the Kubernetes cluster feel overwhelmed? Because it had too many deployments. Thanks, Lisa. Yeah. Um, so you and I have presented at conferences together. So I actually have met you in person. We've hung out in person a few times. We've hung out in London. We've hung out in Barcelona. But one thing I love about you, your conference talks are so thoughtful and well put together and intentional and deliberate and lovely. I really like your work. So I just wanted to tell you that.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate that. Thank you.
And one of my favorite moments, or maybe the favorite moment of you were presenting with Mauricio, and y'all had a live demo, and then there was some time where everyone had to spend time on their phones answering questions. So it was like a little bit of downtime. And you on the podium, you had a little like musical keyboard, and you were playing live like some like elevator type like music, some background music, and it was like you were doing like such a like seamless good job. I don't even think anyone realized that like there was some live music playing. It was just like I'm so charmed.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a great experience, that presentation, and yeah, I'm glad the music came out that way. Very part of the whole presentation.
That was the
Yeah.
first time I ever saw you present, and it made a big impression on me. We have some people to say hello to. Oleg's here. Hello. Yay. Thanks for coming. That's so great. We have so many buddies. So Thendal's here. Hi. And like, wait, what's this? An extra enlightening. Thendal's pointing out the fact we're doing an enlightening on Friday instead of Thursday. Thendal, I'm trying to keep my learning up with the other show I'm doing, You Choose. And so just to make it all fit, I'm having to start to do some Friday shows too. But in the case of Kustomize, I had a different guest at first for Kustomize, and he ended up not being available to do it. So Thomas stepped in and saved the day. And then developer guys here too. Hello. Thank you so much, friends. Y'all make me feel so
Hello.
much love. Yeah. So, Thomas, you're clearly, oh, Fuel Snobbles here too. Wait, 2 Wiggity streams in a week. It's going to happen next week too, with Thursday and Friday shows next week. Actually, both with women guests too next week, which is exciting. But let's talk about Thomas for a moment. So we're talking about you and music. So clearly, you play some conference music on little keyboards. But what other like type of music do you play?
Yeah, so I play the piano. That's my main instrument. I also play a bit of guitar and ukulele and drums. Yeah, but
Amazing.
uh, yeah, over the years I played a bit of everything in different bands. But I guess I'm more for rock blues kind of music.
Okay.
Yeah,
Do you play in a band right now?
not at the moment. No.
Okay. And so when you play now, is it like when you're playing at home alone, or do you have like an outlet like besides
Yeah, I'm
conferences?
also yeah. So I'm trying to study more about film music. So composing, I'm currently composing some music for show that will air on YouTube, directed by a friend of mine. So that's a very nice and interesting experience to compose music
Amazing.
for. Yeah. So
Super cool. Have
yeah,
you will you share that with me when it happens? When it
yes, of course.
Fuel Salvo has a question. Have you heard the Finnish bluegrass band, Steven Seagal's Finnish
Uh,
bluegrass? I'm curious. Yeah.
no, but I totally have to check that out. So yeah, thanks for the tip.
Yeah. Bluegrass originated for like very close to where I grew up. It's yeah. So it's I love that there's some Finnish. They have an amazing Thunderstrike cover, says Fuel Novel. Okay, so this is great, but I want to try to keep it technical, at least somewhat. Thanks everyone for coming. I'm going to start moseying on behind the light board, but I'd love to hear what you're using now for configuration management. Like who's using Kustomize? What do you think of Kustomize? Are you using it solo or combined with other configuration management tools? And then I'm going to throw the Kustomize docs link into the thing. And then Thomas, I know that you just wrote a book, and I'd like to hear about your book, please. Will you tell us about that?
Yes, recently published a book. It's called Cloud Native Spring in Action with Spring Boot and Kubernetes. So it's all about cloud native development using Java, Spring Boot, and Kubernetes, published by Manning. It was a really exciting experience to write a book. Never done that before, and it took a while. I learned very much during the journey, but I had fun doing that. So I got to talk about and explore different topics around cloud native development with REST APIs, event-driven applications, serverless, and talking about different tools that I really like to use, and I do use every day, like Cloud Native Build Packs or Knative, amazing tools in the cloud native space.
I have a question,
Yeah,
or I think
yeah,
it's
I can see.
related to Findle's question too.
Yes.
will you will you write
So
another
you
book
you
ever?
heard that writing a book, yeah, it's one of those things you do once, maybe. So it could be, yes. It's yeah, I knew it would have been hard, but yeah, it was worse than I imagined initially. It took longer than I expected, but yeah. So I'm happy I made that decision. To be honest, like it was very rewarding in the sense that I really learned a lot. When you have to teach a topic, you learn a lot, and it was great to share also my experience and what I learned over the years in my job with the community. So I like that. Yeah.
Well, it also seems like writing a tech book. Can you hear me okay? Right.
Yes.
Okay, great. Like writing a book in the cloud native space, it seems a lot like it would be hard to keep it current because you're working with like really cutting edge technologies that are likely to change soon, probably.
Yes,
Yeah.
that was a big challenge. So it required a very, yeah, it required a lot of thoughts and um, analysis to pick the tools or the approaches that would sustain at least a bit of time after it was published. But also it was an experience very relatable with software development because Manning has this process of releasing books as early in early access. So every time a new chapter was ready, it would be published, and I would get feedback and comments, just like we do with software. We start small, we put it out there, we get feedback, we iterate on it, we improve on it. So I really found that very, very useful. And also to get the feedback about what type of technologies or techniques were better to put in a book. Because, yeah, once it's published, yeah, in the meantime, the whole cloud native space, we probably have like, I don't know, 100 more projects in the cloud native landscape or something like that. So it's yeah, it's an ongoing journey.
you're you're like Victor and me trying to touch everything. Um,
Yeah.
what's let's talk. What's a project that hit the cutting room floor?
Uh,
What's something you
can you
cut?
repeat the question?
What's a project that didn't make it into the book because it's not popular enough or because it's not full formed enough or something?
Well, I had to cut a lot, but mostly because the book is like 664 pages,
Oh my
and
goodness.
yeah, so it was a lot already. I would have liked to talk more about certain topics like Knative, for example,
Uh-huh.
but there was really not room enough for it. So I covered the basics, also the basics of Kubernetes and establishing a flow for the inner development loop. But of course, there
Wow.
are so many tools and options out there, and I had to pick, and Kustomize was one of the tools that I chose for the book. Yeah.
Yeah. And here you are teaching it to us. Bendel says you got it. I don't understand this comment, Bendel. You got a technical review copy of a book you need to read. So you got an early copy that you need to read it and give the review? Is that what you're saying? So that's what you're doing this weekend. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, Bendel, I had the exact same thought. 664 pages. Like, couldn't you have gotten two more? Maybe he had two more and then had to cut or.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then two more and two more and yeah.
Yeah. All right. So Kustomize. Tell us what the world was like before Kustomize existed that caused it to need to get created.
Yes. So we don't start with Kubernetes. We got this new platform, this new approach for managing deployments. We can, in a declarative way, decide or define what we want to achieve in a cluster. For example, I can declare that I want my application deployed, version one of my application. I specify that wish of mine in a manifest. We call it resource manifest, usually using YAML. And then
Uh-huh.
we apply that YAML to Kubernetes. And then Kubernetes takes my wish and makes it true in a way. That's what we call the desired state that I specify. And then Kubernetes try to match that with the actual state in the cluster. And that's very nice. Like Kubernetes offers this, we can say now it's a standardized API to declare what we want to deploy. But then we encounter an issue because we come up with our resource manifest describing the deployment for our application. But then when we are at the point where we want to deploy this application, we realize that we need to customize it because in development, perhaps I want just one instance of my application running, maybe not using too much memory and CPU because it's a constrained environment. But then when I go to production, I want an application that is highly available. So I want more replicas for my application. I want to have more memory and CPU available because I want it to be very performant since it's in production. And then we start trying to solve the problem of we have this initial resource manifest. How can we customize it based on where we want to deploy them? And that's where
Great.
Kustomize
Comes
comes
okay.
handy. Yeah.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is you want to have a lot of the configuration that's exactly the same between three different environments. And before Kustomize, you still would have to have like huge long configuration for those three environments, even though maybe only the replicas change in between and not all that other configuration. I want to say Carlos is here. So good to see you, Carlos.
Hi, Carlos.
Hope to see you at KubeCon, Carlos. Okay, I need to, so configuration would have to be repeated. Configuration files would have to be repeated even if there are only minor changes. Does that make sense? Between environments.
Yeah. Yes, using plain Kubernetes manifest, yes.
Okay. This is long to write. Sorry, this is, I'm trying to think of a shorter way to say it even as I'm writing the long thing. So in practice, like I could see how it would be hard to keep all three of those things in sync.
Yes, because we would be duplicating code and then it would be hard to keep them in sync. Since probably most of that is actually common, but because we haven't introduced the tool to do configuration management yet, then we have to duplicate all that YAML code for each environment.
You keep wanting to need to write YAML on here. I'll put it. I hear you. I hear you, Thomas.
Yes.
All right. So that's the problem we have, and that's the problem we're going to solve. Do you feel comfortable writing right now, like, what is Kustomize?
Yes, so we can define it as a tool to customize Kubernetes resources. Yeah, should we introduce the concept yet? Yeah, let's do that. So Kustomize is a tool to customize Kubernetes resources using overlays and working with YAML, standard YAML files. I would say that those are the two main aspects characterizing Kustomize.
Using overlays with standard Kubernetes YAML files.
Yes.
I'm going to ask you a question up front. Hold on. I feel like I'm taking up too much space already. I'm going to ask you a question up front, which is something this is my child's brain, my relatively new learner brain. I didn't understand when I first was like working with Kustomize or hearing Kustomize concepts. I still don't understand actually. What is the difference between an overlay and a patch? Are they the same thing? Is one a noun, one a verb?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. So overlay is the term that Kustomize used to identify the layer on top of the base manifest where we apply our changes, for example, the number of replicas. And we do achieve the overlay by applying patches to the base manifest. So you could say overlays is the overall result, and we achieve an overlay by applying patches. Does that make sense?
Yes. Does it make sense enough for me to write it down? That's so overlay.
Oh, well, in a simple way, an overlay it's a combination of patches. Would that make sense? On top of the base manifest.
Overlay equals patch plus base. Yes?
Yes.
Oh, yes, that helps.
Nice.
That the whole episode just became worthwhile for me. That helped my mental model so much. I just thought maybe the two words were used interchangeably.
Yeah.
Cool. Excellent.
Yeah, and I'm mentioning overlays because the problem that we have, and that is explained already on the board, is can be solved in two main ways. One way is using overlays, and the other way is using templates. So a way also that Kustomize is usually described is as a template-free configuration management tool because it doesn't use templates. I don't know if we want to define templates as well, or
yes, let's have I think we should. I think it's important. Did this assume some knowledge? So I don't really think we've actually defined overlay or patch properly either, have we?
Yes, so let's start from that maybe.
Yes. So glossary. Okay. So we have an overlay. Yeah.
Yeah, so we have the base, which is our original set of Kubernetes manifest. The ones that then we want to slightly change based on the environment where we want to use them.
Original set of Kubernetes manifests.
Yes. And that could be your own set of Kubernetes manifests for your own application in your organization, or it could be a set of manifests provided by a third party. For example, Cert Manager for certificate management, they provide a set of manifests that I can use as a base and then apply my changes on top of that base. So it could be either something that I write or a third party provided set of manifests.
That's great to say. And that's probably, it's great to say and good to incorporate as part of the mental model, but also that's probably going to be true with every configuration management tool you ever touch, right? Sometimes you're configuring your own application. Sometimes you're configuring a third-party application that you're bringing into your cluster. Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so we have our base.
Yes, and the base is not enough because, for example, in production, I want to have 5 replicas, but in development, I only want 1. So we can create 2 overlays, one overlay for the development environment and one overlay for production. And in that overlay, we define a patch to change the number of replicas. So it's something we add on top of the manifest.
I have a question about a base. I just thought of a question while we were talking about overlays. Is a base one file, or could you have several files as a base?
It's a group of files, yes.
So it's a set. Okay, you kind of implied that with the word set. Got it. But it could be one. It could go either way.
Yeah, and Kustomize helps by providing a way to handle different manifests together as a whole, as a whole set.
Okay.
That we call a base.
And so an overlay, let's define overlay maybe without using the term patch yet, since we haven't. So an overlay, can we? We should start with patch in that case, right?
I mean, we can define it perhaps as a layer.
Okay.
Where we apply the changes on top of the base. If we don't want to use patch.
The results of the result. Instead of a layer, the result of adding the changes to the base.
Yeah.
Do you want to? Let's define patch first. What do you think?
Yes, let's define patch first.
You're so nice, Thomas. Okay, let's do patch. What's patch?
All right. So patch is so it's a fragment of a manifest where we only include the things that we need to change. For example, the number of replicas. So we don't write again the whole manifest describing the deployment of the application. We just have a fragment with enough information to identify what is the base manifest we want to customize, and then what needs to be different. For example, the number of replicas.
Love it. So a patch is a fragment of the manifest where we only describe the bit that we want to change. So replicas is the great example. So
yes, and we can have multiple patches.
Okay. Okay. Is base usually a directory then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we can point to a directory that could be on your same environment or could be like on GitHub. So you refer to a base as a URL, but yeah, it's a directory.
And you were telling me you would make several patches to modify one base? Like would you make a separate patch for replicas and a separate patch for, I don't know, port? If you want to
it's a recommended practice to have patches that are really specific to one single change. So I can have a patch for the number of replicas. I can have a patch for configuring the resources, CPU and memory. I can have a patch to add some environment variables to my deployment. It's good practice to have them separate for better management.
Good practice to have very granular patches.
Yes.
So you're likely to have many patches per base.
Well, within the overlay, because then the overlay would be the sum of all these patches and the base.
Many patches are per base and overlay. Okay, I'm with you. So
yes.
likely to have many patches per base. You want to say within the overlay. We haven't. Okay. Within overlay. Okay, now let's define our overlay. And overlay, we kind of have it here. It's overlays patched, and it's really patches, right?
Patches, yeah, exactly.
Patches plus base. I'll put it up here.
Yes, and we can define different overlays based on the environments that we have. That's a common pattern. So an overlay for a development environment, an overlay for staging, one for production.
Okay. Let's define overlay. I mean, this is kind of it. Is it just that easy, or a base
Yes, I
plus
think
one
it's a
or
good definition. Plus patches customized for a specific use case or environment. Might be useful to have this mapping like overlay environment, like dev, staging, production.
I want to draw, like, I like this example, and I think I want to draw it shortly after, but I wanted to kind of like nail down the terminology before we add that part. Plus many patches. Usually one per environment. This is so great. How do you feel about that? Do you feel like we captured it
looks
well?
good. Yes.
Excellent.
I like that.
So let's maybe draw out your example where with the replicas, or maybe we can make 2 changes per environment so we can have a better sense of how the patch per base thing works out, how granular the patch goes, so we can illustrate that and make sure I understand it. So if we have a base, we would have a directory with more than one file in it. So maybe it would have, I don't know, a deployment and a service in there or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a good example. Yeah. And perhaps we can mention that the way that we tell Kustomize that we want to combine these manifests together as a base or as an overlay is via a resource called customization, spelled with a K.
Oh. Okay.
And that's where yes.
I'm going to put it in our glossary.
Yes.
We also, the whole reason we started making a glossary was just to talk about templates, and then we never got there. Isaac 8. Okay, so customization is a file.
Yeah, it's a
YAML?
file. It's a file. Okay. It's a YAML file that we use to provide this information about what is part of a base. For example, pointing to a deployment, a service, an ingress resource, and in the case of an overlay, also pointing to all the patches. So it's the way that we have in Kustomize to group different resources together.
So a YAML file used to group different resources together and customize.
Yes, either as a base or as an overlay.
Okay. And then templates.
Should we maybe postpone that after the Kustomize example? It might give us some further inputs for the difference with overlays. Yeah.
So our directory has it has a deployments manifest, it has a service manifest, and it has a customization file, right?
Exactly, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and that might be our own application. We wrote the deployment manifest, the service manifest. Now we want to deploy it to different environments.
And then this is a base. Okay, so we have this deployment with this service. We want it to go into how many environments? Like, do
Two
you want to do three, two?
or three?
Okay, two sounds good.
Yeah, two.
Whatever you think we need to illustrate the concept.
We can have two, maybe staging and production. How does
Okay,
it sound?
staging and production.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay, so I don't know what to draw yet. Let's work our way down. So in our minds, we want to deploy these 3 files to 2 environments.
Yes, and perhaps we want to change 2 things: the number of replicas and maybe the CPU assigned to the application in these 2 environments.
Love it. Cool. So what do we do next?
So we define 2 overlays, one for the staging environment and one for the production environment.
So is an overlay going to be also a directory?
A directory, yes, with its own customization file pointing to the base.
And then, if what I'm understanding is correct, this overlay will have a reference to the base, and it'll have 2 patches, so 2 files, one for each patch, because they're meant to be separate. And then, I guess the customization file is what has the reference to the base?
Exactly, yes. So we're going to have 3 files there, yeah.
Okay, so we're going to have 2 overlays. I need to, okay, and each one has 3 files. I can handle this. So one's going to be for staging, one's going to be for development. And then each one has 3 files. So what's this customization file doing?
The customization file, in the case of an overlay...
In the case of the base.
Oh, in the case of the base, it points to the service and the deployment manifest, because we need a way to tell Kustomize which resources are part of the base. And so in customization, in the base, the customization reference the files in the same directory. We could say that.
So here it defines the base.
Yeah, the base manifest.
As being both the deployment and the service. Yeah?
Exactly. And then in the overlay, it points also to the files next to it, like the patches, and then a reference to the base.
Okay, and so now we have an overlay. So this is like a staging overlay. And this is production overlay?
Yes. And conceptually, bases and overlays are exactly the same. The only difference is that overlays depend on a base. The base is standalone, doesn't depend on anything else. But then the approach is the same, the way that we use Kustomize with it.
Patch for replicas. I think if I get a new pen, I'll have a sharper point. Yeah, patch for CPU. And then this customization. This customization, what's it doing?
It referenced the base and the patches for that overlay.
So it groups the base with the patches.
Yeah.
I'm going to write groups and... Okay, and this is basically, I'm just going to rewrite basically everything I just wrote. So maybe I won't. This is the same as that in terms of what 3 files are in here, right?
Yes.
There's two patches. I'll just do patch customization. All right. Excellent.
So at this point, if I want to deploy my application, before Kustomize, the simple example is I just use the base manifest. For example, I can use the Kubernetes CLI and say kubectl apply. But now I have this customization, so I can still use kubectl because Kustomize is actually part of the Kubernetes CLI. But instead of referencing my base manifest, I reference the overlay. So I can say kubectl apply and then refer to the overlay. And the difference is that for standard or plain Kubernetes manifest, we use the -f flag in the CLI to point to a file. In order to use Kustomize, then we use -k. When we use -k, then the kubectl expects to find a customization file with all the information about all the patches to apply and all the manifest that needs to be included.
Cool. So you would normally, if it was vanilla Kubernetes, you would use -f and usually like refer to a directory of all your manifests, right? But now we're applying -k. And so do we just refer it to one of these two directories depending on what we're deploying to?
Yeah, you can point to the directory, for example, the overlay directory, or you can point to the customization file explicitly. And then the customization file has the information about where to find all the other resources.
Interesting. So either one works. So I could either point it to this whole staging overlay folder, or I could point it to this particular customization file.
Yes.
And either way, it's going to deploy into the staging environment. Fascinating.
And Kustomize has its own CLI that also can be used, called Kustomize. But it's quite convenient that we can use it directly from kubectl.
Oops, can point to overlay directory or overlay customization file.
Yeah. And what it matters is the customization file. When we point to a directory, it expects to find a customization file, and that is what is read. So that's the key part.
And then it deploys everything to the target environment.
Yes, using Kustomize, it will start by having the base manifest, then it will process them by applying the patches on top of it, and then the final result is applied to Kubernetes in a standard way. So one of the nice properties of Kustomize is that it works with a plain standard YAML everywhere. So we don't need to learn a different language or a different syntax, because also these patches, they use the Kubernetes syntax, the Kubernetes standard YAML expression that we use in a standard manifest.
Okay, I'm getting some really cool. You're telling me some really cool benefits that I want to maybe capture. So let's start a benefits column. So I like that it's like incorporated into kubectl, but it's also a standalone binary. Seems like a good one, yeah?
Yes. Yeah, and that's quite convenient as the first tool for doing this type of configuration management, because we probably already have kubectl, so we can start experimenting with Kustomize without having to install any extra tool.
And what's a use case where you'd want the standalone binary?
So you can use it in different ways. So there's a difference into the release cycle of Kustomize, because every time a new version of Kustomize is out, the Kustomize CLI gets the latest version. But within kubectl, we only get the new changes to Kustomize once a new version of Kubernetes is out. So if you want to try out something that is already out there in Kustomize, but not yet in kubectl, because we didn't get the new release of Kubernetes, that's an option. But it's also interesting because you can use that as a library into other tools. For example,
Oh, that makes a
GitOps
lot of
tools like
sense.
Flux CD and Argo CD, they can use this customized library and use it to apply these overlays to manifests that are provided to Argo CD or Flux CD, for example.
So I'm here. There was something else I wanted. So I think GitOps is probably a thing we'll talk about later, or should probably go in the benefits column
I will
now
probably
or
mention
later.
YAML there. Is that it's not
Oh,
just
that's
easy
it.
to
Yeah.
start with kube control, but also that you don't need to learn a new language. Like if you know about how to write a Kubernetes manifest, you can write these patches in an overlay using the same syntax.
Always YAML, and the benefit of always YAML is that you don't need to learn a new syntax.
Yeah. So the learning curve, is quite immediate to learn how to work with overlays and bases in Kustomize because of that.
Cool. And then should I put the GitOps thing here now, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's a first-class citizen in GitOps tools like Argo and Flux. I think that's a very good thing. So it's well integrated with the rest of the
What does it mean to be
I
a
don't know how to
first-class
mention.
citizen?
So you can
I've
work
heard
with
that.
Kustomize directly into Argo CD or Flux. So I can point Argo CD to an overlay folder, and then Argo CD knows how to work with that using Kustomize.
Cool.
So I don't know how to phrase that. GitOps ready or
is it built in then to Argo CD and Flux?
Yeah.
I'm gonna write built in. I like that. Can work directly with undersells it. This is wonderful. Okay. So I have a good sense of how it's working, I think. And what I feel like personally from my own mental model, like maybe there's something that you know about that we should cover that I don't know what it is, but for my own mental model, what I feel like we kind of have started to touch on that I think is really interesting is like templating or maybe like other tools in the configuration space and how Kustomize relates.
Yes, that's a good thing to cover. Also, so overlays and patches are, of course, the main feature of Kustomize, but there are other two features that might be worth to mention.
Okay.
I don't know if we should do it now or after talking about templates.
I trust you because you have the full picture in your mind and I do not. So it's whatever you think is best.
Okay, but then I'll mention them now because so we can start working with Kustomize. We have all these patches, but there are some changes that we regularly do every time. For example, the number of replicas, that's a very common change. Or even more than that, the image reference. So every time we release a new version of our application, we need to update the image tag inside the deployment resource. So instead of every time creating a new patch, which might become really verbose, Kustomize offers a concept called transformers that basically provides you with a way to customize this information without writing patches. And then Kustomize will create the patch for you. And that is very useful for common options like updating the image tag or updating the number of replicas or applying common labels and annotations.
So will you define transformer for me?
Yes. So it's yeah. Let's see a concise way of defining transformers. Maybe a way to customize certain fields without writing patches.
Incorporates, okay, a way to customize certain fields, popular fields, how about?
Yes, and that would happen in the customization file.
Uh-huh.
So we have these extra fields that we can write into.
Yeah. It's like images in the customization file instead of writing
I really
a
like
patch.
the comment in the chat right now.
I'll feel snobble. There are two kinds of transformers, Autobots and Decepticons. And customization, YAML, without writing patches.
Yes.
We did it. Good job.
Nice. And
yeah, I think that's a great
just to
definition.
mention one more use case of the customized CLI compared to kubectl is we have our CI/CD pipeline. We release a new version of our application, and then we need to in a GitOps flow we need to update the manifest with the new image tag. So what is quite common to do is using some low-level tools in a bash script that search and replace the tag in the manifest, and that's quite, well, not pretty.
TD.
And with
Yeah,
Kustomize, we have a very convenient command in the Kustomize CLI that automatically updates the image tag for us using the transformer. So it's all transparent. We don't need to write the patch, and we even have the Kustomize CLI itself providing a command to do that. So I can say Kustomize, edit, set image with my new image tag, and then I get the final manifest, and then Argo CD or Flux can pick up and apply to my cluster.
So this is a feature of the CLI, right?
Yes, for updating the image tag, yes. Yeah, it can be done directly in the customization file, but it's quite convenient to do it from the CLI as part of the CI/CD pipeline.
Is it set space image or set dash image?
It's edit, set, image. So before set, it's edit, set, image.
Added, ADDED? Added?
Edit, yeah, EDIT.
Edit, got it.
Edit, yes.
So, EDITS, set image.
Yes.
Command. To change the container image? Update. Container image.
Tag, yeah. Or
Container
name.
tag. Okay, sweet. Cool, that's very
and
helpful.
one last thing I'd like to mention here is that all these features are about updating or customizing existing manifest. But Kustomize can offer also another concept called generators to generate manifest for us. For example, we can provide a property file, and then Kustomize can generate config maps or secrets for us. So it also provides this additional capability.
So we can generate files.
Yes. And three main examples are config maps, secrets, and even Helm charts. To customize Helm charts.
To templating.
But then, yes.
Customize. Are those the only examples, or are they just like three really common use cases?
Three common use cases, yes. There are more. You can even write your own generator or your own transformer, so it's an extensible API for that.
Config maps.
Yeah, config maps and secrets is probably
Secrets.
the most common, yeah.
And Helm charts. Cool. All right. Templating. Is it time? Did you save this for
Yes,
last on
it's
purpose?
time. It's time. Yeah, all right.
Awesome.
So if we go back to our initial problem, we have a set of manifests. We want to change a few things. I said earlier that we had two main options. We talked about overlays. Overlays are very convenient because you can take any base manifest, either something you wrote or something from a third-party tool. I mentioned Cert Manager, and then apply your customization. That's convenient because you don't have to change anything in the original manifest. So I can just use the base manifest from Cert Manager and apply my customizations in an overlay. So I don't touch the original manifest. And I have full capabilities of changing anything I want just by writing a patch. Another method of handling configuration is using templates. When we talk about templates, we change the original manifest and we replace certain parts of the original manifest with placeholders. And we do that for all the places that we would like to be able to customize in the future.
Okay. And add
And this has
placeholders. Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
And then we can have some default values for the placeholders that are usually combined with the original source. And then we can provide our own values.
And then, okay.
Yes. And
Cool.
that's how, for example, Helm works. You take the base manifest, you modify them, and you replace all the parts that you would like to customize with placeholders. So that becomes convenient in the way that you get some, basically a new abstraction. You don't have to know the underlying Kubernetes object manifest, how it's done. That is what we would do with a patch. You just have this list of values, so a list of key value pairs to customize only what you need to customize. But at the same time, that means that if something is not parameterized, if there's no placeholder to customize what you need to customize, then you cannot do that. So the alternative is you fork that original template set and then add, change them so you have more placeholders. Or you can apply overlays. So you can actually combine customize with a tool like Helm. So Helm is very popular because it's very likely that any kind of third-party tool you find out there, there might be a Helm chart already, which provides a convenient way to deploy applications. But if you want to customize something that is not exposed for customization by a Helm chart, then you can combine it with Kustomize.
That makes so much sense. Yeah.
Yes, and it's very common to need both of them because with templates, we might have a very nice initial experience, but the moment that something is not parameterized, you need an overlay. So combining the two, we get an even more powerful solution. And yeah, the two main tools that come to mind here is Kustomize for overlays and Helm for templates. And there's even other tools like Carvel YTT that actually provides both. With YTT, you can do both overlays and templates.
So and that's so what I want to. We have this much space left, and so I want to get your opinion. Do you think this would be it might be wise to use it for talking about other tools altogether in the configuration space? Or is there something more about Kustomize that you feel should be captured in this area?
Well, how it combines with something like Helm, I think it's useful because it's a very popular approach. And as I said, there is a generator for Helm chart. So what happens is that Kustomize can fetch a Helm chart, and then you can apply overlays on the resulting manifest. That's a very popular combination. So Helm templating, and then we pipe that with customized overlays, and then the final result gets deployed on the cluster.
Helm is a popular templating tool, and then can be paired with Kustomize for further customization, right?
Yes. Yeah, and that really depends because if you want to make sure that you don't need Kustomize or overlays afterwards, then there is this anti-pattern that you end up parameterizing everything. And at that point, we really lose the original concept of a Kubernetes manifest. So it's very interesting to find the right balance between templating and overlays so that we don't make our life harder in managing templates that contain too many parameters, but at the same time we expose or we provide a good user experience and enough flexibility for the consumers of our software.
You call what Kustomize does patching. If what Helm does is templating, Kustomize is patching, right? Not overlaying. Okay.
Yeah. Let's say patching. It's
All right. So Helm's a popular templating tool, very popular. And Helm templates can be paired with customized patching for further customization. And that's a very
yes,
common use
and
case.
yeah, when we have this pair together, then we just use the templating functionality of Helm. But Helm can do much more than that because it offers also advanced deployment capabilities to do upgrades or to do rollbacks. But if we need to pair it with Kustomize, we don't use those features. So we just use Helm for templating, then we apply overlays with Kustomize, and finally we deploy it with like whatever strategy we'd like to have. But just to mention that with this combination, we are not using all the features from Helm, but just the templating part.
And what I'm hearing is if you use Kustomize, you can't use the other features of Helm, right?
Yes, because
Okay.
we need, like, Kustomize as input requires some YAML manifest. So we cannot, see, if we do that, we cannot use Helm to do a deployment. We cannot do Helm install or Helm upgrade because
That makes
otherwise
sense.
we wouldn't know where to put Kustomize, like in the flow before we deploy it, but after the templating.
Because those Helm commands work directly with the truck cluster and to apply this
Yeah.
stuff. And there's no in between step where Kustomize can like squeeze in there.
Yeah, so it's very
Excellent.
popular to do some Helm template command and then pipe that with Kustomize, and then we deploy the final result. Yeah.
Is it common for Kustomize to get paired with any other configuration tools?
Well, since Kustomize basically just requires YAML files as inputs, it can be paired with any other tool. So let's say that we have uh, a tool that generates manifest so that you don't write manifest yourself, like is it called like CDK for I never remember all the letters that like the tool from Amazon to use your favorite programming language and generate manifest.
CDKs? CDKs.
CDKs,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
CDKs. Then the result is YAML manifest. So you could think of using Kustomize also if it makes sense. Maybe it's because you're in a different, like the output comes from a different organization, different team. I don't know. I can see different combinations there since it works with plain YAML files.
Carvel YTT already has patching as part of it, I understand. So is there no reason is there a reason to pair Kustomize with Carvel YTT?
No, not really,
Okay.
because YTT can offer both. So Carver YTT could be paired with Helm, again, because maybe we need additional customization so we can actually apply overlays on top of a Helm chart also using Carver YTT. And YTT compared to Kustomize, also, well, the similarities first, they both work with standard YAML file. And that's convenient because it makes it easier to combine it with other tools in the ecosystem. But compared to Kustomize, YTT can also work with other types of YAML files, not just Kubernetes. So Kustomize know how to patch Kubernetes YAML files. But with YTT, you can apply overlays to any kind of YAML file. For example, your GitHub action workflow definition that is in YAML, or an Ansible file. It could be, I don't know, maybe a Jenkins pipeline. As long as it's YAML, then YTT can apply both overlays and patches. Templates and patches. Instead,
Cool.
Kustomize is specifically for Kubernetes. Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense since it's all wrapped up in the Kubernetes kubectl. I added this, another benefit of always YAML is that it plays well. No need to learn another syntax, but then it also plays well with other tools.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a big benefit.
Mm-hmm. Cool. What else you got? Anything?
Do we have space?
We have this,
Ooh.
a little bit down here, if you want it. We don't.
No, I feel it's enough. We covered the main features, overlays, transformers, and generators, how it pairs with Helm, and also difference between patching and templating.
Cool. So I'm going to, if anyone has any questions, now's your time. I'm going to do my best to recap everything we've talked about. It. Kustomize has a question, of course. Where's Megatron? I'm going to do my best to recap everything we've learned here today. If y'all have any questions, now's the time. And then I bet we'll expose any holes if there are any during this last this last step. But here we go. So before Kustomize existed, Kubernetes was just coming about, and it's awesome because of the declarative model. And you declare a desired state, and the desired state and the actual state come together. But the problem is that the configuration files between different environments, maybe only minor things would need to change between those environments, but still the whole big environment was getting declared over and over again. So it would be hard to keep the YAML in sync between environments in that case. So Kustomize was created. It's a tool to customize Kubernetes resources using overlays with standard Kubernetes YAML files. So I needed help with just the terminology. So we created a glossary for ourselves to help understand Kustomize. So a base is usually a directory, and it's an original set of Kubernetes manifests. So in our sample base, we drew a directory that has a Kubernetes deployment, a Kubernetes service, and a customization file. The customization, they're all in YAML. I'm going to write Kubernetes, K8s. Okay. Then a patch is also a YAML file, and it's a fragment of the manifest where we only describe the bit that we want to change. So it's a good idea to have very granular patches, and you're likely going to have more than one patch per base. So examples we use for our base manifest, we have a patch for changing the replicas per environment, and we have a patch for changing the amount of CPU needed per environment that we want to create. So I like to write patch as a file, because a base is a directory, a patch is a file. An overlay is a directory, and an overlay is a base plus one or many patches, probably many patches. So in our case, we have two overlays. We created a directory here, a staging overlay, and a directory for production, a production overlay. And then they both actually contain the same three types of files. So a patch for replicas, a patch to change CPU between the two environments, and then also a customization file. And the customization file, that's in all three of these directories. And here in the base directory, that customization file is grouping the resources that are also in the base directory. So it's grouping the deployment and the service and saying this is our base. The customization files and the overlays, those are they're grouping the patches that are also in the directory with it, but it's also providing a reference to the base that it's meant to be applied to. So I guess I kind of skipped ahead, but so the customization is a file used to group different resources together and customize. So, with what we've created here, we have what we need to deploy applications that have been customized into two different environments. Like the same application with slightly different tweaks into two different environments is what we made here. And to make that happen, we can use the kubectl apply commands, because Kustomize is built into Kubernetes, the kubectl. But so we do kubectl apply and we do a -k instead of a -f. And then we can either, if we want to say deploy to the staging environment, we can either supply it with this whole overlay directory, or we can supply the commands with just this one customization file in the overlay directory. And either way, it'll deploy our application with the customizations to the environment that we specify, in this case, staging. So that's all the customized terminology mixed in with the use case. So some benefits of Kustomize that we went over. So definitely the patching, the overlays and patching functionality is a huge benefit and why it was created. It's also super cool that it's incorporated into kubectl, but you can also use it as a standalone binary if you want to. Kustomize is always YAML. It's always, so therefore you don't need to learn a new syntax, and also it's going to play well with other customization tools. Kustomize is built into Argo CD and Flux as first-class citizens, and so therefore it's very good for your GitOps flow. Kustomize also has transformers. So in Kustomize, there are some fields that need to get updated often, like the number of replicas is a great example. So that's going to happen all the time. So instead of making the world create patches for replicas over and over and over again, in Kustomize, you can add the number of replicas as part of your customization folder, as opposed to making a patch. So for the more popular things to change, you can have transformers as part of your customization file. Also, for more popular things like changing your application image, there's the CLI can help with that. So you don't even have to change it in your customization file. So Kustomize CLI has like an edit set image command to update your container tag, because that's just such a popular thing to need to do over and over again. And then finally, Kustomize has generators. So Kustomize can actually generate files for you. So common use cases are ConfigMaps and Secrets. And it can also generate Helm charts, which brings us around to how Kustomize and Helm together are a really common use case, a really popular solution for configuration management.
About that, just one thing. So it doesn't generate Helm charts, but it uses a Helm chart to generate the manifest that then customize. So you can basically use Helm charts as a source to generate manifest that then we can change with Kustomize.
So it's basically generating YAML, vanilla YAML, yes, from a Helm chart.
Yeah, from a Helm chart, yeah.
Vanilla YAML, that can be customized. I'm going to write customize with a K. That can be customized. Instead of writing customize with customize.
Yeah, I guess we can show that we customize with a K. Yes.
Yes. All right. That's great. That clears up a thing I didn't even realize I didn't properly understand. So that's okay. Great. So now we're around to Helm and Kustomize together as a solution. So we added another term to our glossary, templating. So templating is a different way to do configuration management. So it's instead of patching, or I guess it can be in addition to, but in templating, you change your original manifest and add placeholders to the fields that you want to manipulate. So then you provide different values for different deploys. I'd say with templating too, you can add logic. I've seen, right? Is that part of templating? Yeah.
Yes, templating tools usually add logic, and that's also where we have some differences between tools. In the case of Helm, the template engine used is the one coming from Go, and that so makes it possible to use some functions from Go, but also makes it so that the files that we template are not standard YAML. So we don't get the YAML validation, but we have string templating. We could say that string templating. So the YAML file is treated as a string that we template. Instead, with Carvel YTT, for example, we don't use string templating, but we have YAML templating. So even the template knows about YAML. So you always have standard YAML files. So you don't need to worry about like indentation and white spaces. That if you treat YAML as a string, that's a huge pain. Yes.
Okay. So this statement that templating tools can add logic is accurate, but the way they add logic can be different between the templating tools.
Yes.
So Helm, for example, uses Go, and then Carvel YTT. Well, we know
it uses
Starlark.
a dialect of Python, yes, called Starlark. Yeah. And the main problem is that it's YAML templating. So your templates are still standard YAML files. So you can validate and get help from the IDE that it's YAML. Instead, with Helm, using Go templating is not a valid YAML file anymore, basically, until you run through the tool and get the final result.
Great. So templating, the difference between templating and patching is with templating, you change the original manifest, and then you add placeholders to fields that you want to be able to modify, and then you manage like values files separately from your templates. They're called now. Those base files are templates. And then templating tools are different from patching tools also in that they can add logic, or patching tools don't have that logic adding. And then Helm is probably the most popular templating tool. And then we've also talked a lot about Carvel YTT, but I never wrote it down. But Helm's a popular templating tool, and then Helm it's popular to pair Helm with Kustomize. So you use Helm to template values. The values are separate, and then this is probably pretty common if you're using a third-party application.
Yeah, that's the main use case.
Yeah, for third-party.
Yeah. Yes. Let's say we get a Helm chart for Cert Manager, just to give an example. If I want to customize something for which, well, we don't have a placeholder, so the template doesn't allow that, then we can use Kustomize on top of that. So we can change anything we need to change for our specific use case.
So we get our Helm chart, our Helm templates are written in Go. We have that in the values YAML, and we would fill those out, and then we would use the generator to make YAML out of that, and then use YAML as the input to our Kustomize to add further customization without having to fork and change the actual template.
We can do it in these two ways. One is using the generator, which is quite convenient because from the customization you can point to a Helm chart, or you can do it more manually from the CLI and just pipe the Helm template command with the customized CLI. So we have these two options.
Okay, Helm template, it generates the YAML. The Helm template command does. Cool. And so that's it. Kustomize just requires YAML input, so it can be used with other configuration tools. So we're talking about how to make it Helm YAML to get into Kustomize, but you can do that with other tools. And we talked about CDKs as an example of that, which is a tool. We talked about it a few weeks ago on Enlightning, where you can write your Kubernetes manifest in your favorite programming language from within your IDE.
And again, it's usually the case for third parties, because a third party might be using CDKs to generate their manifest, and then we can use those YAML manifests as input to Kustomize. So in that sense, it just requires YAML. It doesn't matter if those YAML files are written like explicitly or are the output of some other tools.
Amazing. Well, this I've been hanging like in the periphery. Kustomize has been in my periphery for a while, and this really solidifies some things, especially the patch versus the overlay. In my mind, they were just the same thing. Too. So this has been absolutely wonderful, and then a lot of these benefits I didn't know either, so that was really cool to learn. And yeah, this has been so amazing. Thomas, do you have anything else you want to say before we dance it out?
Ooh, no, very nice recap. Covered a
Thank
lot.
you.
Amazing.
Yeah, very, very nice teaching. It takes a great teacher to empower me to do a great recap. So,
Thank you.
Kustomize says dance it out. Thank you everyone who joined us today. Thank you people who watched the recording, and thank you Pendulum Kustomize. I see you. This is where he realizes. I think this has
Yes.
become the favorite part, like watching the guests sweat as soon as I say it's time to dance.
Yeah, I didn't realize
so much, Ring. Thanks so much. You just have to. You're so little on the screen, and only your arms are available. So all you really have to do is like something like this. I know you have rhythm. All right. Thank you, Lisa. Thanks, everyone. Let me get the music going. Here we are. Yeah, there we go. All in the shoulders. I like it.